Welcome back to the second issue of the topic, gender issues at workplace. In the first part, we had discussed that women in the workplace, the numbers are increasing significantly over the years. More and more women are now coming into the workplace. The workforce diversity in terms of gender is increasing, and the number of women is increasing, and that is increasing the complexity of the workplace. And for the managers, for the leaders of the company, for the management of the company, gender issues at workplace becomes an important topic that needs to be addressed. Now, this is a very timely quote that we had done in part 1, but I just wanted to repeat it once again. If you educate a man, you educate an individual, but when you educate a woman, you educate an entire family, maybe the entire nation. So women's contribution into the building of a nation, into the building of a corporation, into the building of a company, into building of a family cannot be neglected. Now, what are the various kinds of issues that women face at the modern workplace? We are talking about gender equality over there. Gender are not treated equally. We're talking about equal pay for male and female, which is not happening. We're talking about glass ceiling at the top levels. Women are not getting the substantial amount of support, substantial amount of environment so that they can rise to the top and become the C-level executive in the companies. Gendered stereotypes are existent in the society where males believe that women cannot do a particular kind of job. They cannot handle a leadership profile or a managerial profile, and because of that the growth of a woman is limited because of the mental blocks that people have around. Then various kinds of jobs are specifically reserved for women employees, specifically reserved for men employees, wherein women have no entry in that sense. For example, mining is an industry where women are not allowed because of the safety and security reasons. Women also have a problem with respect to the birthing of the baby and feeding of the baby. The modern workplace still do not allow such kind of facilities for women, having creche for the children, for the small babies that they need to be rearing up, and for feeding of the baby, the small ones. So that creates a specific kind of a problem. There is lack of cooperation between men and women, both at the home and at the corporation level, at the company level. Men do not want to work in a team that is combined of women. Still, that mentality is decreasing, but yet there is a long way to go. Prevalent mindset about the lower capability of women, that people believe that women are less capable than the men. There is lower awareness of women rights. What are the rights and privileges? Women are not aware of that. Even the males are not aware of that. So these are something we have discussed in the earlier session, earlier part of this particular video. We have also discussed this particular quote that in meeting the challenges of tomorrow's economy, businesses cannot afford to overlook the talents offered by 50% of the composition of population, which is women. Women bring to the job, women bring to the work special kind of advantages, like they are more responsible, they are more sincere, they are more hardworking, they are more empathetic, they are better at communicating things, they gel better with the individuals, with the team, they make working in a team possible. So these are some specific advantages that a woman brings to the workforce, and that is why Sanofi Aventis says that in meeting the challenges of tomorrow's economy, businesses cannot just afford to overlook women. So what is gender inequality? Gender inequality can otherwise be understood as sexism. The word is sexism, and sexism is the belief that there are psychological, behavioral and intellectual differences between females and males, and these differences make one group superior than the other. So males generally have that male dominated society, paternalistic societies generally believe that males are superior to females in terms of psychological skills, in terms of behavioral aspects, and in terms of intellectual differences. So what is it that the women can do so that they can advance their way in the labor market? The first one is having a good self-confidence over their capabilities. Then they have to also improve their attitudes, their aptitudes, their experiences. If they have better experience, if they have good education, if they have the aptitude for the particular job, and if they have the right attitude, maybe they can get better employment opportunities, maybe they can grow better into the system. Also, they need to retrain themselves, and they need to find out what specifically technical skills that the employers are looking for. They need to upgrade their skills with the latest requirement that the industry is looking for, and basis of that they can advance their way into the labor market. Now, what are the various kinds of barriers that women face when it comes to career development? The first one is person-centered barriers, which is an individual kind of a barrier. Women lacking in some particular thing may be called द पर्सन सेंटर्ड बैरियर्स. उनके अंदर कुछ कमी है जिसके कारण से वो लाइफ में ग्रो नहीं कर पा रही हैं. अदरवाइज द सेकेंड वन इज सिचुएशन सेंटर्ड बैरियर्स, बेसिकली वेर इन द सिचुएशन, द एनवायरनमेंट, द कॉरपोरेशन, द सोसाइटी, they have issues, they have created barriers for women so that they cannot rise higher. So that is an environment centric barrier or a situation centered barriers. So we'll be looking at it one by one. Person centered barriers would be skills. If the women do not have the right skills, the technical skills which are required by the companies, the relevant skills, the present day skills which are required, they will not be able to grow in the system. Second one is work enhancing behaviors. If they do not have the right behaviors, if they do not showcase the right behaviors which are required in terms of communications, in terms of teamwork, in terms of getting work done in deadlines. So if there are these skills are there inside the women, if they lack in these particular skills, again that may become a barrier for them. If they do not have the right personal traits, if they are not cooperative, if they are not having leadership and managerial skills, then these will again be limiting the individual woman to rise higher in the system. Now we'll be talking about situation-centered barriers. What are the various situations which do not lead women to higher levels in the company? The first can be corporate policy. If the corporate policy of the company is as such that they do not allow women to rise above a particular level, they do not allow women to take specific responsibilities, it can be against the women. Then we can have organizational practices, like the founders of the company have made certain norms and regulations which have been running for the last 15 years, 20 years, since the beginning of the company, that women cannot be given a particular profile, or women cannot. So these are some practices which have been kept on doing by the company again and again over the years. So this can act as a barrier for women to rise high. Then there can be cultural inclinations, that some cultures in the country allow women to take an equal role in bringing money to the house, going out and working, while some cultures totally prohibit women from going out and making a contribution to the family income or contribution to the workforce. So cultural inclinations can also create a problem. Attitude of the society, attitudinal influence can also be there. Attitude of the men in the society, attitude of the overall board of directors, attitude of the society can also create a problem when we are talking about situation centered barriers. And these are the barriers which actually limit the growth of women in the society. So why do organizations need to implement gender equality policies? Well, why is it required that we have better equality policies? Because it has been shown over the years, it has been shown in multiple number of studies that were done, that if we improve the gender diversity in the company, if we increase the gender diversity equality, and we increase the presence of women and the contribution of women, it leads to better performance, it leads to better impact on the society, it leads to better growth opportunities for the company. It also increases the recognition and rewards by peers, which leads to a positive environment inside the company and in line with the societal expectations of social justice. Social justice is also achieved if you give women the right amount of power, the right amount of opportunities. Society-wise also the women are growing, and it also leads to the growth and development of the company. So it's very, very important that we give the right amount of consideration for women to grow in the system. Now, if you look at the graphical representation, this is a percentage of corporate boards with women members. See, the number has been growing. In 1973, it was just 11%. In 1998, this is an old figure, but still it tries to reflect what is the percentage growth in the number of women who are now part of the board of companies, which is the kind of the owners of the company. So this number is steadily increasing. But yes, in most of the companies, the glass ceiling actually persists. Now, what is the meaning of glass ceiling? Glass ceiling is basically an invisible kind of a ceiling. There is a ceiling just as we have in the roof in our houses. There is a roof, but this particular glass ceiling is not visible. You might, to the outsider, it might appear that there is no particular ceiling, but yet women cannot rise beyond a particular level inside of a company. Now, look at the picture on the right hand side. it shows that while the labor force in the consumer durable goods marketing is 25%, the number of CEOs in that particular sector is just 3.3%. So if we're talking about the CEOs, why have the women not been able to become CEOs in those companies? They can work as a labor, but why cannot they go into the CEOs? There are various kinds of reasons. This is an old graph once again of 2015, but still it tries to reflect that women are not allowed to rise beyond a particular level inside of companies. So we're talking about some statistics about women participation. Just look at the number of figures. Women hold 1 to 3% of the top executive jobs in the largest corporations worldwide. In the big MNCs, in the big companies, just 1 to 3% of the women are CEOs, and that is a very sad number. Only 12 countries have women head of state. We're looking at the countries, only 12 countries have their prime ministers or presidents as women, which is again a concerning number. Only 14% of the world's parliamentarians are women. Women in the parliament like Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha of India are just 14%. India has been talking about including women in the parliament and making that number rise to 33% for a very, very long time now, but still that number is a very dismal number, and overall the world figure is 14% only, which is again a very less number, and only 1% of the trade union leaders are women. So again, this is a very a reflection of how women are being treated, how women are not being brought into the forefront and being included into the job. So this is becoming a long lecture, so we'll be discontinuing as of now, and we'll continue the rest of the topic in the part 3 of this video.